What is up, fight fans? It's me, Olin, aka MMA Anomaly. We'll go ahead and start off with the good, then we'll get into the bad, aka the ugly. What was my highest of high? What was my happiest moment in all of MMA this year? Well, I'll tell you, folks. It was Dustin Poirier getting back on the saddle again and going out there and getting a stunning finish over Benoit Saint-Denis, aka Benny Saint Denny. This man is, an absolute savage. The man has literally fought in wars, and he came to MMA and just looked like he was going to be on a tear, right? But I digress. What ended up happening? He came up against an old veteran, an old dog in Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier got that right hook in round number 2 after pissing off a lot of people, a lot of bettors, and his coaches probably by jumping the ghillie far too many times in that fight. But hey, don't be silly. Jump the ghillie. I'm part of the ghillie gang, baby, all fucking day. Doesn't matter if you never got it. It just matters that you tried.
I could go on forever and ever about moments that we saw in 2024. There were so many great fights. There were so many great things that happened in the UFC this year, but I'll keep it to a couple, right? And the first one I got is Max Holloway KOing Justin Gaethje.
Easily the Max Holloway KO of Justin Gaethje.
Right, the BMF title on the line, UFC 300, one of the biggest cards in UFC history. And it was really a great performance by Max Holloway.
Him being an underdog, him not having to do it when he did it. It's so many that goes, so much that goes into it.
He was picking apart Justin Gaethje, having a lot of success. And he says, you know what? I'm winning the fight. I'll give Gaethje his chance. Points down at the ground, and they slug it out in the final 10 seconds. And Max comes out with one of the best KOs in the history of the sport. That was absolutely spectacular.
I hate that it happened to Justin Gaethje, who is a fan favorite, your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. But I feel like anybody that goes against that, it's really, you got to make a case for that, because that is a seminal moment.
What's happening, people? My favorite moment of MMA in 2024. It's going to sound a bit cheesy, but it's actually been all the collaborations and all the content that we've been bringing out. As a community and as a team. Shout out to the Fight Week show, Making the Walk, MMA Anomaly, Crossover, Head Kick Podcast, Fight Night Frankie, yourself, and yes, even you, Sterling, S-Dogs MMA. Let's go, boys. I can't wait to do it again next year. If I had to pick a moment within MMA, it'd probably be Tom Aspinall winning the heavyweight title.
It's an imaginary belt.
Even though it's interim and he's not had a chance to unify the belt yet.
I don't want to fight dangerous up-and-comers anymore.
I'm sure that's going to be coming in 2025.
Billy beats me. That belt over there is a piece of shit.
But that moment for UK MMA and for Tom Aspinall after the injury was just absolutely phenomenal.
I'll retire the heavyweight belt if I have to.
Now for something completely different.
So, 2024 is almost finished, isn't it, guys? Best moments from the UFC this year for me, personally. What's that? Oh yeah, you remember, chat, do you remember the time when Rigo got cooked so hard in a video that it forced him to change his channel name?
What happened to the channel name? I just want my real name on the channel.
Remember that funny moment?
I know some people don't like it for some reason.
That funny thing that happened?
Some people have unsubbed.
That's my favourite moment of the year.
The best part for me was Oban Elliott. This guy comes from a town just down the road from my hometown. He used to work in Nando's.
Man needs no menu.
He's a Welshman, so I'm super excited to see what he's got to offer in 2025. That knockout of Bizal Hafez was like unbelievable to me. I was bouncing around the room when it happened, and that was definitely the highlight of 2025 for me.
Frankie and you bloody legends that watch him, show him some support. Give him a subscribe for this video. My highlight and my lowlight of 2024, they all revolve around Islam Makhachev. That guy haunts my dreams, just like the daughter of Alexander Volkanovski. The highlight was Dustin Poirier just blowing BSD out of the water and then somehow getting another title shot, which I was totally fine with. Didn't deserve it.
You don't say.
But absolutely fine with him getting it. And then taking the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world to absolute war. I loved it. I loved it. And I still, to this day, think that going into the 5th round, it was 2-all either way. That was Dustin's fight to lose. It was an amazing, amazing war. The fan experience that I had watching Dustin Poirier's epic, monumental walkout that I will never forget. And then going in there and putting it on Islam Makhachev and making him look human. I love it.
So for my best memory in 2024 of the UFC would have to be Ilia Topuria.
No soy el trapo ni de Jair. No soy ni la nariz torcida de Max Holloway.
Ushering in a new generation at featherweight. I know he upset a lot of people knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and knocking out Max Holloway because a lot of people like them. That's their favorite fighters, but fuck them. I like seeing the new generation come along and seeing how far they can take the sport. Ilia Topuria is now a superstar in the sport, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's next for him.
Nobody can
stop me. Khamzat Chimaev, UFC 308, going out there in the co-main event against Robert Whittaker, the doubters.
I think this guy is so overrated, man.
There were a lot of people saying, is this going to be the end of Chimaev?
I don't think Khamzat's going to be able to do it.
Right, he's been inactive. Is he going to get exposed here against one of the best middleweights of all time?
Khamzat Chimaev is never going to be a UFC champion.
Goes out there in the very first round and is able to take Robert down and ultimately submit him. It was an impressive performance. I mean, the way that Chimaev just went after him, a former champion.
Never, ever, never.
And a guy that is still very much in his prime in Robert Whittaker. That was absolutely spectacular.
I'm done.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Sterling from S-Dogs MMA Talk. The best moment of the year for 2024 had to be two that are tied in my head. UFC 300, bro, was the most insane thing I've ever seen. From top to bottom, the card was absolutely stacked. Figgy versus Cody being the first fight of the night was insane. Kayla Harrison debuting against Holly Holm was insane. Aljamain Sterling went up to 145 against Calvin Kattar. Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic, one of the greatest fights of the year. Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, one of the greatest knockouts, one of the greatest fights of the whole fucking year. The main event, Pereira Hill, nasty knockout from Pereira. It was just an amazing card. The UFC Sphere, bro. UFC Noche in the Sphere was the greatest thing I've ever seen. The fights might not have been that crazy, but the event, the whole thing, just the venue, how they were able to make it look like we were there from being at the house was amazing. I hope they do it year after year. That was probably my most memorable moment of 2024, Frankie.
One of my favorite trends from the UFC in a year defined by BS, boredom, and sadness. Was the comeback season of the old crafty bets with big meaty hooks, flatlining the cocky young guns trying to usurp their thrones as MMA royalty. Michael Johnson and Cub Swanson's huge knockouts of their, honestly, younger competition was very satisfying. And Miller lightweight Jim fucking Miller's path of destruction in 2024 was very entertaining besides, you know. Anyway, all those turnings back of the clock by some of the UFC's longtime alumni were great, but none of them compare, in my opinion, the king of kung fu, Muslim Salikhov. Now bear in mind, it was against Song Kenan, who would narrowly win a split decision against a gust of wind. At least that's what they're calling Ricky Glenn these days. But the fact this even happened after Salikhov looked like he was ready for retirement following that easy 1-2 KO from Randy Brown delivers perhaps the most spectacular head kick knockout of the UFC's whole calendar year. Just the fact that Salikhov's 40 years old and past his physical prime, but still delivers a spinning head kick knockout like Edson Barbosa in his prime made it unreal to watch live.
What's up, everybody? The Fight Franchise here. Fourth round of Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr. That was one of the most fun rounds of the year. Seeing Alex Pereira put on a butchering performance, striking performance against Khalil Rountree, systematically breaking him down, pushing forward. It was like this on, you know, when you say the aura and the monster that Alex Pereira is, that was him at full force, just kind of breaking Khalil Roundtree in a fight. He was arguably 2-0 down. He was, 2-1 down. It was, people were saying it was 2 rounds to Khalil, 1 round to Alex, but Alex Pereira just turned it around in the 4th round, butchers him to the body, butchers him with the striking. That was him at his masterful kickboxing best. You know, we see Alex Pereira so much, that one-shot kill power. Seeing his striking in full effect was beautiful. So that is probably my favorite.
The best moment for MMA, honestly, for me, had to be Jared Cannonier versus Kyle Barallo. That was by far one of my most exciting fights. Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev was up there as well, but Jared Cannonier versus Kyle Barallo went back and forth, and that really showed me who Kyle Barallo is. Showed me that he is a beast, and he is a problem for the middleweight division. He's trained, he's sparred with Buckley as well, so I can't wait to see what that guy has to show for us. Thank you. Let's go.
Petr Yan getting back in the win column, not just winning a fight, but going 2-0 here in 2024. I mean, going out there against Song Yadong at UFC 299 and putting on a nice performance, and then later towards the end of the year goes out there against an up and rising guy in the bantamweight division in Deiveson Figueiredo, who he was very established at flyweight, but then ever since he came over to bantamweight, he was looking like a real problem. And Petr Yan says, watch this, man, hand me this guy, I'll show you how it's done. Goes out there, puts on an absolute masterclass against Deiveson Figueiredo. So to see a guy in Petr Yan, right, who I feel like everyone in the community has a soft spot for, he's just a technical, magician out there, he's a wizard, he's got outstanding striking, he is just like a computer, and he's been on the opposite side of some tough defeats, right? He was going through a little patch there, but to see him come out and get 2 big wins in 2024, definitely one of my favorite moments.
As always, like and subscribe, and more importantly, get involved and share your experiences too in the comments. It's greatly appreciated.